Good morning. It's about 10 o'clock on Sunday, and I'm out here on the deck because, quite frankly, I needed to get away from the scale and get away from the office a little bit. I gotta be honest with you. I weighed in this morning and I was 221.4 pounds. That's up nearly a pound from where I was at yesterday. And if I were just looking at a single number, that would frustrate the living hell out of me. I'd be sitting here wondering why the math didn't work. But today isn't about just the last 24 hours. It's about the last 365 days. Today, I'm going to try to look past the daily noise, and I'm going to get into the real truth about this journey. So, a year ago Friday, I started taking a GLP-1. I started with Ozempic for 2 weeks, and then I switched to tirzepatide, Mounjaro, on my doctor's recommendations. And when I started this journey, I was at 256 pounds. Now we're going to look at some stats here in a minute, and they're going to show 264 pounds. That was right before I started. And the data from the scale kind of got jumbled a little bit, but that's what we're going to use. And so even this morning at 221 pounds, that's 35 pounds of weight loss. And what I want to really talk about specifically is the fact that everybody on the internet, all the news articles, everything that you talk about talks about how these GLP-1s eat your muscle and put you in danger while you're losing weight. And particularly in the keto community, this is used as some evil thing about GLP-1s. Well, I'm going to prove to you today that that's just not true. I've got the data. I've got 1 year's scale readings on a bioimpedance scale that I've used since day one of this journey. And it shows the actual numbers. It shows the fat loss. It shows the muscle, skeletal muscle, and where I'm at today. Now, just as a pretext, from May until September, I was using a Eufy scale that I've used for about the last 3 years. In September, I purchased a GE Fit profile scale that has the handles on it. So instead of just getting the bioimpedance from the lower part of my body, I actually have the entire body now, and it's much more accurate. But we're going to use the data from the scale that's been there since day one of this journey. So buckle up and join me as we talk about the real results of how you can lose weight and gain muscle, not lose it. I want you to hear that again. Gain muscle without being a gym bro, without doing anything extraordinary. Basically, I work out 1 or 2 days a week, sometimes 3. I walk. I'll show those numbers, either on a treadmill or or outside with Abby. But we're going to talk about real numbers from a real guy that's 60 years old. Up until December of last year, I was a CFI, basically in a sales role. Not a lot of physical exertion during the day. Now, since December, really since the first of the year, I now am a service tech in the same industry, so I do have a much more physical job, and that's helped. There's no doubt about it. But it's not the reason. So, again, in case you're just joining us for the first time, I'm Bryan. This is Bryan's Silver Health Quest. I'm tracking my journey to get into the best shape of my life. And I believe I'm there. Scale's been disappointing for the last 6 to 8 weeks, but there's reasons for that, and we'll get into it for a minute. So, again, if you like this content, subscribe to the channel, like this video, share it with somebody else if you're somebody like me. If you're going into your silver years and you're trying to get healthy, let's track this. So that's step one. All right, so let's start with the legacy numbers. So 1 year ago, I was stuck at a starting weight of 256. Now the scale's going to show 264, but I mentioned that before. I've been doing all the right things for years. Since my heart attack in March of 22, I had lost a tremendous amount of weight, but then the scale started going back up. And when I visited my doctor, that was the frustration. The A1C was going back up. It was 6.3. My average glucose in the morning was 110 to 115, even though I'd been on a low-carb keto diet for over 3 years at that point. And I was just stuck. Since that point, I'm down over 46 pounds to my lowest weight so far in mid to end of March. I got down to 215.9, but then we started adding testosterone replacement therapy, and that's causing me to gain a little bit of weight. I'm holding some fluids, but what I want to do to debunk the, I think, irresponsible thing about demonizing these GLP-1 medicines is to look at muscle and muscle density. And this is where the smoking gun comes in for the critics. If you look at my muscle density, and I'm going to add the chart here. A year ago, I was at 58% muscle. Today, I'm at 63.4%. I haven't just lost weight. I've remodeled my body. And I'm currently carrying 99.6 pounds of skeletal muscle. And that puts me in the athlete category for muscle density at 60 years old. I'm not wasting away. I'm building an engine. Now, if you think about it, and if you know, a lot of people think, oh, well, you're not eating. Well, again, I have data. Over the last year, because I track my meals every day. Now, do I track 365 days a year? No. Do I have probably 320 days of good data? Yes. I did go for about a month where I didn't track anything last October. But my average daily burn, factoring in my basal metabolic rate and my activity, is 2,817 calories. My daily deficit averaged over 1,000 calories during that time. Now, my metabolic engine is smaller now. My BMR, basic metabolic rate, went down 270 calories per day from when I started. But it's running cleaner and more efficient than ever. So, the real best version wins aren't on the scale. My blood pressure this morning, 110/73. My waking glucose this morning is a steady 88. And for 2 nights in a row, my air score, because I do use a CPAP now, has been 100 out of 100. My average air score is at 98 out of 100. My heart is relaxed, my lungs are clear, and I'm just getting started. So, if you're frustrated with the scale today, just like I am, look for long-term averages. Trust the math, protect your muscle, and keep your head in the game. Year one was about a descent, a graph that steadily went down from 264 pounds to 217.5 on that scale. Again, on my scale, 221 this morning. Year 2 is going to be about optimization. So I'm going to get more in depth here in a minute about the actual numbers. We're going to show you some actual graphs and data. But what I want to get in here is you can easily keep track of good nutrition, moderate to even some would consider it low exercise, and protect your muscle. You don't have to lose muscle mass. I'm stronger now than I've been in a long time. I can crawl into a crawl space and crawl out. The other day I had to jump about 3 feet to get up to a ledge to get out of a crawl space after crawling around and basically doing bear crawls for 35 minutes inside that crawl space, doing a full inspection of it, and I got out of it. I couldn't have done that 10 years ago. So that's where we're at. That's what we're doing. And again, here in a minute, we're going to get into the numbers a little bit deeper. And we're going to show some graphs and things like that. So, all right. So let's look at exactly where I started. 1 year ago, I stepped on the upstairs scale, and it read 264.3 pounds. I had a basal metabolic rate, BMR, of 2,154 calories, meaning that my body was gas guzzling just to keep the lights on. I'd been trying to move that needle for 4 years with very little success. Today, the same scale shows a total weight loss of 46.8. Like I said, from the highest to the lowest. Now, I know some of you are going to say, Bryan, your basal metabolic rate dropped to 1,881 calories. Isn't that metabolic damage? Well, no. That's called efficiency. See, I'm carrying 46 pounds less than I did last May. So my engine is smaller, but it's running at a much higher performance level. Now, this slide is what I want the critics to see. Those that are looking, let's look at those percentages. Last May, my body muscle was 58.1%. After a full year on Glp-1's, a full year, my muscle density hasn't dropped. As a matter of fact, it's climbed to 63.4%. I am currently holding 99.6 pounds of skeletal muscle. To put that in a straight perspective, my SMI score is 8.8. The normal range for a man of my age, 60 years old, tops out at 8.6. 6.6 to 8.6. I'm officially in the athlete category for muscle density as a 60-year-old. If these mids were eating my muscle, these numbers would be impossible. Now, for those that say the medication does all the work while you just sit on the couch, check out my receipts. Over the last 365 days, my average daily burn was 2,817 calories. I maintained an average daily deficit of 1,065 calories per day. Every single day. The medication didn't give me a free pass. It gave me a level playing field, and it allowed my body to actually access the fat stores so that my 1,000 calorie deficit finally resulted in a 46-pound weight loss instead of just making me tired and hungry. which, by the way, I'm rarely hungry. And when I'm hungry, I eat. Last night, perfect example. I had a really beautiful ribeye steak for dinner at about 5 o'clock. I then went out for a walked for 2.5 miles. By the way, I got a really nice compliment from my neighbors across the street. A couple of elderly, I say elderly, they're probably 15 years older than me. Sisters sitting on their deck. I walked by. They flagged me down, took my headphones out, and she said, "Bryan, you're looking great. Just wanted to tell you, you're really looking good." That was cool. Didn't expect it. I thanked them, put my headphones back in, continued my walk. But yeah, you got to put the work in. You can't sit back just like my mother used to say, eating bonbons and expect to get results, even on a GLP-1. So the next thing we're going to look at is the vascular and the respiratory wins. So finally, when we look at the health metrics that the scale can't see, my blood pressure this morning, 110/73. My waking glucose, a perfect 88. My air scale, a flawless 100 out of 100, with only 0.6 respiratory episodes per hour. Now, when I got the CPAP 6 weeks ago, they told me that if I could get under 5 episodes per hour, that'd be great. I've been as low as 0.1 episode per hour. So that's doing its job. The before numbers, my blood pressures were regularly elevated, 130, 135, over 85, up to 90. And that's being on blood pressure medication. I take both losartan and metoprolol. My lungs now are clear. My heart is relaxed. And my metabolic health is the best that it's been in decades. That's the power of combining modern medicine and old-fashioned discipline. So, when I say check my receipts, I've got all the data. I'll post it right here. I'm not lucky. Now, I want to be completely honest. I'm frustrated as hell that the scale hasn't gone down faster. One of the things that I've questioned since day one on these meds, and those of you that have been in the lives on either Club Downsized or Allie from Fit Flavor Fun, or the other day with Brittany Rose, I asked, why do the numbers show that type 2 diabetics lose weight slower than those that don't have type 2 diabetes? And I really thank Brittany, because she asked the doctor that she had on that question. And what we're getting back, and she also had another nurse practitioner that addressed it. What we're getting back is that the body's focusing on the opening up of the glucose stores, and it literally is focusing on the diabetes first, and the weight loss is a byproduct. I want to dig into that deeper and understand it better, but for now, that I'll accept that, because my A1C in January was 5.4. Last May, it was 6.3. And my diet hasn't changed. I've been low carb for almost 4 years, over 4 years now. So those are real numbers. Again, my average glucose, when I wake up in the morning, my finger sticks. I had one as low as 79. And I think my highest, I think it was yesterday actually, was 101. But 88 to 90, normal, every day. Clockwork, no problem. I wore a CGM for over a year. And my last one malfunctioned, so I stopped wearing them. But my average glucose is down in I think it was 93. I can actually look it up and give you an exact number. So these are real numbers. These are real results. And I'm living proof that you do not have to lose muscle on these GLP-1s. Do people lose muscle? Yes. I think, and again, everybody says it, but any weight loss diet, people that have lost 100 pounds on keto lost muscle. Okay? People that lost 100 pounds with bariatric surgery lost muscle. Every rapid weight loss. So I guess, if anything, maybe I've been blessed that my weight loss has been slower, because I haven't lost the muscle, and I don't feel like I'm doing anything extraordinary. God gave us 24 hours in a day. I used to use 3 to 5 of those hours drinking and smoking and wasting my life. Now I take 1 hour a day on average and either walk and or lift weights. Let's make it 2 hours if we add in the sauna, which I'm blessed. I invested in a sauna. I spend, 3 to 4 sessions a week in my hot sauna. Is that something some other people can't do? Probably. But then again, I don't have to drive to a gym because I've invested in my home gym. And again, I've gone over this before, but it's worth mentioning again. I don't have a ton of money wrapped up in that home gym. The treadmill I've had for 20 years. I did buy that brand new 20 years ago, and then it basically was a coat rack for 18 of those years. I have a total gym, 2 of them actually, because I wanted to buy the extension units. I got less than $100 into those total. I've got a elliptical machine that I spent $50 on Facebook Marketplace on. My next door neighbor threw out a Nordic Track S221 exercise bike that they never used, and I used that, and it's a $500 machine that I got for free because it was in the trash. And then I've bought some miscellaneous weights, so I've got maybe 100 pounds in weights. So I think total for everything, I'm going to say well under $500, and I can use it whenever I want. And I don't have to drive to a gym. As a matter of fact, instead of driving a half hour each way to a gym, I just go on walk or go and work out. And I've actually recorded a couple of my workouts this week, and I'm going to show those. So 1 year on a GLP-1. What's my takeaway? It is a tremendous tool. But it's just a tool. My diet's on point, but my diet was on point before. But now I have the chemical reinforcement to regulate my blood sugar, control my insulin levels, and allow myself to lose fat while building muscle. Again, check the receipts. I built muscle the last year. I don't know if I'm going to post this or not, but Vinny Tortorich, this is for you. I gained muscle mass using a GLP-1. So thank you. Thank you for checking out my journey and my channel. If you know anybody that could use this information and wants to be encouraged and bolstered, knowing that with a minimum amount of effort, you can better yourself both by losing weight, gaining muscle, and getting into the best physical health of your life. That's why I'm here. That's my channel. So thanks again for paying attention, and share this with anybody that's on this kind of a journey just like us. 1 year down, on to year 2. Now we're going to build the rest of the machine. Thanks. Bye-bye.